1935. He removed from New Jersey in 1916, and the reason why he moved from New Jersey in 1916 because of the story that we get to later on. So remember this part. This story is told in another book. To Chicago, Illinois, and the Moorish Holy Temple of Science. The Moorish Temple of Science was legally incorporated in 1925. The first temple of the Moorish Science Temple of Science at that time was called what? Remember the Temple of Islam, because that becomes a name of something that we know very well.
Right.
All right? All right. So now has been set aside in 1925 a civic organization under the laws of the state of Illinois, November 29, 1926. The Moorish Temple of Science, or Holy Temple of Science as it was called. The reason why the word holy cannot be used was because in a civic formation or organization, in a civic organization, they at this time you could not use words in which they dealt with religious connection. So they could not use the word holy. So they took the word holy out, even though it was still unofficially called the Moorish Holy Temple of Science. They just called it the Moorish Temple of Science Civic Organization, which adopted as its corporate name the Moorish Science Temple of America, a religious organization in May 1928. Once again, in accordance with the legal requirements of the Secretary of State of Illinois, under the religious charter, only as a countermove to the attacks of our enemies. Under the religious charter, Noble Lee put our movement under the protection of the First Amendment of the Organic Constitution for the United States Republic of North America. Under this protection, no one can challenge what has been taught by his followers. What is that? The First Amendment says that you have the freedom of what? Speech. Religion. Speech and religion. All right. It also states in the Constitution that even Congress can make legislation concerning the practice of religion. So even Congress can make legislation concerning it. So this is why he put it up under religious protection. Even so, the change did not occur in every state. The MHTS, which is the Moorish Holy Temple of Science, and the MSTA, the Moorish Science Temple of America, is a non-profit, theocratical, religious separate body politic, a lawful incorporated political unit, nation, or organized state or society by nature, having a formal government up under the Moorish Divine and National Movement that we pledge our allegiance to while abiding by the laws and the Constitution of the said government of the United States Republic. There's a difference. See, people want to utilize nowadays colorable law, which is statutes, codes, rules, regulations, ordinances. That's colorable. If that information does not correlate or coincide with the Constitution, then it has no standing. It is as if it's laws as if it was never been passed or never been made. In other words, it might appear to be legal, but it's not lawful. And what happens is that the reason why you go to jail as Negroes, blacks, and colors, as Moors, is because of those particular, not making those particular distinctions. Okay? So we say the Republic because we look on the back of the dollar bill, the pyramid is the Republic side, and the federal side is the side on which that we gave them, which is the de facto government, which is dealing with the eagle, which actually is the phoenix or the new bird, which represents the resurrection from out of the ashes. All right? But all of this ties back into Masonic information, as we'll see. So, right, too many are caught up in the illusion that they can't see the prophet really did in November 29th, 1926, which was the actual day of the Articles of Incorporation filed by prophet along with others for the upliftment of fallen humanity, and was accepted, and the charter was issued. Not the day it was filed. Remember, the prophet said before he tells us how has already done it. The charter of the Moorish Temple of Science was now in effect as a civic corporation of the state of Illinois, but having its own jurisdiction as a subdivision of as the city of Chicago, private sector, as the Catholic Church. Vatican City did later to become incorporated within Rome, Italy. You see that? A year or so later, the Catholic Church copied and did the exact same thing as Prophet Noble Raleigh. The first nationality cause, as well as the adapt chambers, were formed under the original corporate status. And it was in these days that the adapt chamber Moors was instructed to send out within the learned truth of the Prophet Noble Raleigh, who was instructed to teach our people and erect temples in the name of the Moorish Temple of Science between 1926 and 1928. 50 temples were erected in 15 different states. Some say there was branch temples of 15, making it indeed 26 if you count the subordinate temples. This is why in 1926, corporations were very important as the foundation of present-day Moorish science of America and cannot be done away with as some are trying to do. So you can't do away with the civic side, which is the Moorish Holy Temple of Science, because of the information in which that was put on record, and this was never dissolved. The Moorish Holy Temple of Science or the Moorish Temple of Science was never dissolved. All right? The Moorish Temple of Science was forever linked to the Moorish Divine National Movement. This is the importance of the certificate of Corporation 10580, known as the Charter. The prophet said that we are trying, that they are trying every weak mind to tear down and drag out the true foundation which our prophet has built for you. But they own bad planning caused them to fall, and now the time has come to cast them out with dirt on their heads. So now let's study some of the works of Prophet Alim. The word Moorish, those who belong to the bloodline of the original indigenous inhabitants of the planet Earth, who represents populating most of these Americas, North, South, Central, Africa, Europe, Asia, Australia, and Antarctica. Not just the Barbarians and the Arab mixture, that is the Euro definition. We must define ourselves. That's the power of God. The word holy, English transliteration from the word halo, Greek and Latin, and both are derived from the connected word Heru, or Haru, meaning sun, light, photonic energy, consciousness. Science, to know, to be informed. This is also the English transliteration word science, Latin, but it also comes from the Greek, which is called gnostic or gnostic, which means to know. Knowledge gained by study. Dot. Of course, this is the spirit within the tree of life, which is the 11th spirit, which means knowledge. Temple, any place out there in which God dwells. All right? What constituted a temple? This is what the prophet said. 28 people who would take out membership in the Moorish Science of America. 15 of those being initiated into the death chamber of the Moorish Science Temple. This will constitute a temple, and of those 15 who represents a quorum, and the majority of the quorum will be 8, and the majority can guide and govern that particular temple. Quote from Noble Drawing. This is from my brother J. Blakely Better. America, indigenous people from the word Moorish American, derived from Amaru, Meru, or Meru, Amaruka, come from the land of the immortals or snakes. If you get this book, is called The Return of the Serpents of Wisdom, written by Mark Amaru Pinkham. He writes that the word Amaruka, which is where we get the word Moorish American from, was called the land of the immortals. This was called the land of the immortals, the serpents, which symbolizes the eyes of Allah, the Elohims, the 7 seals of the chakras, those who had their light systems set up. All right? Once again, know science, thyself, temple, the body is that of God. This is written on the temple walls of Heru. And if the prophet was an Egyptian dead, as he was, he had to have seen it when he visited Kemet or Egypt. Also, when we open up the cover of the Holy Quran, Surah 2, it says in bold print, know thyself and Allah. Here's the congregation of the Moorish Zionist temple, in which that Prophet Muhammad's family was part of. And this is from the Moorish Jews in Harlem, 1928. This is Rabbi Israel Ben Newman wearing a shawl. This is him here. President Mordecai Herman on his right. Rabbi Gurion from Algiers on his left. And Joseph Trench, a Cochin Jew in the felt hat. Let me see here. Which one got the felt hat? They got the felt hat here. All right. So, this is a picture of the Moorish Zionist temple. And of course, we see the Moorish Science temple. All right. There's also individuals in which that Noble Drew Ali knew, as well as also who was part of the UNIA up under Marcus Garvey. Chief Rabbi Wentworth, author Matthews, 1892-1973. So here, Yoshia ben Moshe ben Yahuda, which was also the name of Moshe had, which is also Moshe ben David or David. was leader of the Moorish Zionist Temple